Hello, welcome to July 26th, 2022. I'm Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation video. I make this video every morning, very shortly after waking up, to remember my life objectives and principles, to work on these, improve them, and to see how I did applying those to the last 24 hours of my life since I did the last video. And then after that, I plan the coming day. Between those two things, I enumerate categorically every one of the objectives and principles. And sometimes I do a deeper dive. Sometimes I just touch each of them, depending on my time, inclination, and motivation. It's a challenging time of life for me right now, namely at work. It's not like it's more difficult than before. It's more like my capacity is diminished. My tolerance is decreasing. I'm like a man who runs out of fuel sooner every day. You know, if I fill myself up through the night with rest, I get there. I can still get to the end of the day. But somehow there's some part of me that can't keep up anymore. That's the right term right there. Can't keep up. Can't keep up with this life anymore. I'm faking it pretty good so far, but I wonder how much longer I'll be able to keep that up before it'll be evident to others, namely my coworkers, that I can't keep up. But I mean, there's people much older than me that are still going at it strong. Let's talk about last night and yesterday. I had my typical morning. Woke up, maybe an hour before the alarm. And finally, I just got up at 4:37. I decided to get out of bed. And normally my alarm goes off at 5, which was good because it's that last 20 or 30 minutes that are usually particularly intense, particularly difficult. And that time before I'd elected to get up, I felt like I was winning, or not, at least not winning, but maybe holding ground a little bit. I wake up because I think about work, and I find myself diving into scenarios at work, the different things that have to be done related to the projects that I'm managing. My mind goes there, and it mucks around with the possibilities, mostly bad possibilities. It imagines the worst. And I tried so hard to think of alternatives, something else, not work. And I tried going into the recent James Webb Space Telescope images and think about all those, numerous galaxies in that grain of sand size bit of sky, and all the 100 to 400 billion stars in every galaxy, all the worlds associated. That didn't help. What do they call it? The view from above? It was a bit of a version of that Stoic technique. That didn't help. Nothing helped. So then I turned to my principles. I turned to, namely, to the new principle of life will not go well. And the other principle that follows it too down the line is that which must be borne. And I said, Kurt, just bear it. You're not gonna make it go away, seemingly. Unless I maybe drug myself to make it go away, smother it in alcohol. But I'm not gonna do that. Funny how I don't even drink at all anymore. It's just, well, we're on a strict budget now because of Emily going to here. And, we're paying for, she got the full ride with us. So given that we have all of our money is going into that. So I even gave up beer to make sure that we can cover all that. So I'm not going to smother this in beer. This is a good thing from that. I'll probably come out the other side less inclined to go to that route than ever before. I've never been inclined, but even less so. But I will bear it. Yeah, I will. At work yesterday was a tough day yesterday. I got some challenging stuff going on. It's going to be another tough day today. It's going to be a tough week. Probably a tough remainder of the month, and August will probably be difficult too. I need that breath. Yumiko says I'm a drama queen. There's something to that. A lot of that might be this. A lot of this might be that. What's more, she said that I'm like my mom. Which makes sense. I expect she's right. In which case, this is not something to be born. This is something to be changed. If I am a drama queen, and I am like my mom, and I thrive on this drama, then that's a different problem. That would also explain why I haven't been able to solve it so far. How do you solve being a drama queen? Or king in this case? I guess you stop it. Stop with this being a motivation in life and a centerpiece of life. So, gosh damn it, it's a distraction, isn't it? It's another distraction. This is no different than religion, at least in that sense. It gives me something to fill the time. Oh, woe is me. This would also explain why I've always had this problem in different shades and forms, because that's my pet issue. Having issues is my pet issue. It's an easy one, isn't it? Make crap up, or utilize the crap around me, the material, into something that I can focus on and make a centerpiece of life. My worry, my challenge, the story. How dramatic. Damn drama queen. I'm going to go ahead and say queen, because drama queen has a sense to it that drama king doesn't. Mainly because it's a colloquial term. Okay, I feel like I'm on the edge of something here. How do you break out of this? I guess you make your focus something else. Why don't I make my focus this thing right there before me? That. You know, reading, diving into other worlds, the stories and the tales and the facts of all that. I've got this great treasure trove on the shelves right here. I can spend the rest of my life exploring just these books. There's enough there. There's a whole lifetime's worth of treasure. Why don't I focus on that instead of the drama? Think in the middle of the night about what I've been reading. Talk about it in my videos. Weave it into the fabric and the story of my own narrative, my own story, going alone, and the consequent good life creed. What a better way to spend my time than a drama queen that's the case, then why upend all of this? I've got this nice workspace here. So what if it's work? It allows me to spend more time at home, more time reading, if I can make this switch. I can. And I will. This doesn't mean that going to work isn't a bad idea, or isn't a good idea. Separating work from my home might be a good thing to do, at least as an experiment, maybe as a tool to break this cycle. But what I need to do is to stop mulling over the challenges at work, at least when during the non-work hours. Start mulling over the things that I'm learning in my books. I read a good 35 pages, 40 pages yesterday of The Sun Also Rises by Ernest Hemingway. I'm almost done with it. I'll finish it today, I'm confident. Why don't I mull over that? Great stuff in there. The bullfighting scenes, the whole epic tale of the lost generation after World War I. I've got a whole treasure trove of distraction to play in. Maybe it's time to give up my toys. That would be a good title, wouldn't it? Giving up my toys, but Drama Queen is a better title. Yeah, I wrote that down. Okay, let's do the Good Life Creed. I have 7 objectives and 31 principles, as follows. Objective number 1 is to always be ready to die. It's my first objective because it's, in essence, the most important one. If I can achieve this objective, then in a sense, I've rolled up everything else. And being always ready to die means, 1, that my home and affairs are in order. My bank accounts, my papers, my everything. 2, my relationships are in order. And I think they are. Everybody in my life that I have in my life, all the human beings that are close to me in the various rings. I don't have any unfinished business with anybody. Even my mom. Spoke to her yesterday. And our conversation was, she's the person to whom I have the most difficult relationship, and even her, I'm as settled with her as I possibly can, so that's in good shape. And my first principle, my paperwork, that's in good shape. I wish I had more money to leave my family, but that is what it is. 3, the third component of this principle is my life's work, which is going alone. And I did. I actually spent an hour last night updating it, rearranging the principles a little bit to make better use of the narrative. So I arranged it so that the new principle, life will not go well, is a three principles that work together. Life will not go well, the horror show, and that which must be born, because it builds. Right, life does not go well is the first fact that life is just fraught with these challenges. The horror show is the utter terror that comes when life arrives, or maybe death arrives, and then that which must be born is we have to bear all of that plus all of our responsibilities, the consequence of all that. So, yeah, so I think that first objective is in good shape, in good order right now. So I guess my life's in good order. I should be able to sleep better. I should be able to think of things other than work. And the very, very worst thing that might happen to me at work, the very worst thing, is that they fire me. and then I'll just get another job. I've got prospects. Or if I can't get another job, then Yumiko and I will go back to Japan, and Emily will stay here. She'd have to get student loans because we wouldn't be able to keep that supply chain going. But we've got her, halfway through her junior year. She'd have a year and a half of student loans to do. So Yumiko and I would retreat back to Japan, start afresh. Except for the student loan part, that actually sounds quite attractive. Bring it on. No, we want to get Emily through. But that's the worst thing that happens. I shouldn't worry. Jeez Louise. Okay. All this time and I'm still on number 1. Number 2, for second objective, is to make good and effective use of my time. And worrying about work in the middle of the night during the pre-dawn hours is not a good use of my time. If I can't sleep, then at least I can think about what I've read. Pardon me. Number 3 is to develop and maintain good and sound life principles. Exactly what I'm doing right now. Number 4 is to cultivate good emotional reactions. Boy, I was in the thick of it yesterday. I had some challenging meetings where I was kind of put in nobody put me in this place, just the circumstances put me in this place of making awkward decisions, difficult decisions. And I reacted well emotionally. I kept my cool. More and more, this stuff that I do here in this good life meditation is becoming part and parcel of who I am. I'm leading myself down that path, forcing myself to contort into the form, shape, and character of the man that I want to become, that I want to be now. Sorry about the snoring dog. I don't know if you can hear him. That's nice. Snoring dog. Next is to perform good actions, just to do good things throughout the day. Next is to recognize my true limits and my true opportunities, what I can and cannot do. And then the next is to do just one thing at a time, and do the thing slowly and carefully and deliberately. To never ever multitask. Okay, those are my 7 objectives. My 31 principles now are: 1, the principle of war, to always be fighting against what I think is true and what others propose to me as true. 2, reason, and the sub-principles of honesty, objectivity, and doubt, which are the character and frame of mind of my mind, utilizing my epistemology, my life, my mental tools to uncover what is true and to onboard beliefs. Beliefs? I guess it is a belief, or beliefs and opinions. 3, the homunculus, the suggestion that I do not have a soul, but I do have a consciousness. 4, the Anchorhold, the idea that my consciousness is quite mortal, just like the rest of my body, and will wink out when I die, and I will be absolutely wiped out. Nothing to go on. No soul. Next is the home of good and evil. Right and wrong are mere opinions that we form we then carry around with us in the gray matter. They don't exist outside of us. Murder is not wrong in an absolute sense. Murder is wrong as an opinion. Likewise, all the other value judgments that we make. Next is purpose. The 3 purpose in my life are biology, which I was thinking about calling, instead of calling it biology, maybe the path, or not the path, that sounds like the path of wildness, the plan. The plan. I want to stick that in my head, the plan. It might not stick otherwise. The plan. It's not like life has a plan necessarily, but it does. That plan is to rope us into spending our lives in the service of our family and community, to ensure that we can get another generation of ourselves, our children, safely into adulthood before we pass away. That's the plan. I call it biology, but maybe I should call it the plan. Biology is something different. I've long not liked that term biology there, but plan sounds like there's some God involved that has a plan, which I don't mean either. Think about it some more. Anyway, second part of my purpose is virtue, to be a virtuous human being, where I define virtue as activities that improve the well-being of thinking creatures. Those creatures in particular that can experience pain, to reduce pain and improve happiness. 3, the third purpose of my purpose is to share the story of going alone and my good life creed. Next comes atomic principle. Everything is made of bits and pieces, atoms and molecules. You and I will soon fall to pieces. I'm already falling to pieces. We'll soon fall to pieces completely. And again, that'll be the end of us. Per the Homunculus. Next comes the principle of nature. Everything in the universe has some particular nature, and it's good to recognize what that is and abide it. I'm challenged right now at work with the nature of a particular person. It's not a bad nature, but it is their nature. And how to reconcile that and make that work, which may not work out. It may not work out. Well, I mean, it'll work out in the end. Life will be. But I may not be able to get that to work. Anyway, no more details than that. Don't talk too deeply about work. Next comes the pirate ride. The suggestion that free will is an illusion. It's a very convincing illusion, I'll grant that. But an illusion nonetheless. Then comes maturity and the sub-principles of wisdom and fortitude, which is the pathway to better living, to remember our past successes and failures, and to have the strength, the fortitude, to not repeat the mistakes and to improve upon the successes, to do better in the future. Next comes the social principle. Human beings are social creatures. We need each other. And then comes, this is the part I think I wanted to move this. Public speaking. Public speaking is to be very careful about my communications, written and spoken, to use good language, understood language, not highfalutin or pretentious in any way, to the point, appropriate to the right audience, appropriate to each audience. To read drafts, to finalize and then send, when I'm referring to email. To be deliberate in my speaking, as I'm doing now, which this does not come naturally. This is not my normal speaking voice. My normal speaking voice is a lot faster than this. But I deliberately have worked, especially when I'm sitting in this chair. It's easy to do in this chair because I've trained myself to moderate my speaking. And more, this way that I'm speaking now is becoming my common way of speaking. I've noticed this particularly at work. I keep a low and slow and measured cadence when I'm speaking, even in stressful situations. There was one situation last week, or maybe it was the week before, I was in one meeting. I was streaming sweat. Things were going bad. my body was in bad shape. My heart was beating like that, and sweat was coming down. They couldn't pick it up in the camera, I don't think. Maybe they could see it, but I spoke just like this, because that's what I've trained myself to do by virtue of this principle of public speaking. Slow, deliberate, careful, moderated communication in both written and spoken form. It's been very helpful. That's another example, of course, then how this good life practice, this meditation, this, especially doing it in front of a camera, which forces me to do a good job, thinking someone might watch, so you want to put on a good show, right? That yields deep, sustained changes. That's why I think I can pull this off. I think I can change myself from being a drama queen. I gotta set myself up that as a goal and a measure. Let me write that down here. I'll make that something I check in the mornings when I do this. I think I can change that. I think I can stop being a drama queen in the same way that I stopped being a frantic speaker. We'll see. Okay, next after public speaking comes, I think it's temperance is next. And the three sub-principles of suffering, simplicity, and apathy. Temperance is our controlled consumption of all things, including intangibles like how much we work and how much we play. Of course, things like food and drink and etc. I am going to use temperance to help me to not be a drama queen, and temper that inclination, and instead focus my mind on books, reading, the world of letters, the society of letters. I ran across that in a Johnson book, talking about in London in the 18th century. They talked about the was it the Society of Letters or the something like that. I don't think I can find it again. I'll have to remember it or make it up. Community of people interested in that kind of stuff. I think it was Society. The Society of Letters will work. Let me write that down too. It wasn't Society of Letters. I remembered it now. It was better than that. Yeah, I remembered it. Hold on, I'll tell you. Dr. Johnson and maybe one of his associates was referring to the community of writers and readers, etc., people involved in the literary trade, publishers, booksellers, etc. And they referred to that beautifully as the Republic of Letters. I think that has something to do with the governing nature of such a group, the Republic of Letters. I need to change myself. I need to change my focus from drama queen to being a member of the Republic of Letters. That's what I'll do. I'm going to shift that focus. Bam. And that's why I wrote it down, so I can look at it every day and remind myself, are you being a drama queen in the last 24 hours? Were you a drama queen, or were you a citizen of the Republic of Letters? I even like that even better, a citizen of it. Okay, so how did I get there from temperance? I got there because I was talking about controlling my consumption somehow. Anyway, the three sub-principles, like I said, are suffering, simplicity, and apathy, because we suffer when we deny ourselves what we want. A simple life is a temperate life, and apathy is something that we do to disconnect ourselves from that which is outside of our control. And temperance is, in effect, disconnecting ourselves from not just that's without, it's disconnecting ourselves from excess in a way, right? So I've long suffered with having apathy here. I think apathy belongs somewhere else. I think I put it somewhere else, but I forgot. I'm confident I didn't. I even updated the book, but this is an old copy of the book, so it won't help me to look it up there. I need to get rid of this and get a new copy. Okay, after temperance comes what? The new stuff. Life will not go well. And I came up with a new way to describe it. Okay, life will not go well is the newest principle that I have that refers to the fact that every day when we wake and step into the world, we are stumbling through a landscape of obstacles and surprises and the unexpected. Maybe stumbling isn't the right word. We're traipsing, we're picking our way through. And I was struggling to think of a way to describe it, and I came up with something that I'd like to try. Imagine, you've seen it before, imagine when police are training, or military is training, they have like an obstacle course. They've got their weapon, and they're going through, and as they go through clearing buildings, suddenly in the window, a dark figure appears holding a gun. It's a picture, right? And they bam, 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 they shoot that person, and then they disappear. And they get rated and scored by how they did on the obstacle course. That's what going through each day is like. Only we forget that we're in an obstacle. We forget that that's the case. And when the dark figure appears before us, we don't just deal with it. We try to deal with it, but we get upset because dang it, we didn't expect that. But the thing is, we should expect that that's going to happen. The shooter, the person being tested, going through the obstacle course, knows those things are coming, and though they may be surprised about it, they're ready to handle it. They're not upset because they knew that that was coming. The big difference, the reason I don't like this model is that the obstacle course there's agency behind it, right? There's decision making. It's a designed course. I don't think life is designed. I don't think there's agency running all of this. The things that get in our way are just happenstance. So that's where it kind of breaks down. But if we expect them, just like the shooter expects to go into the obstacle course to see the things that they have to encounter, if we expect that that will be what each day is like, then we'll be better equipped to manage it well. That's what life will not go well is all about. It's just remembering that as I proceed through this day, things are going to jump out at me, just like that obstacle course. I can already feel it as I'm talking about this. This is a brand new principle, but it's sticking into my head right now as I try to struggle to find a way to say it. And it's going to become part of me. And it will become deeper and deeper every day that I do this and I remember it. It's a good feeling. This exercise is a really good exercise for me. It makes a difference to do it out loud like this. And if you don't do this yourself with your own principles, I recommend it. It might take years to start seeing the tangible benefits. But if you've got good principles especially, and good objectives, then and you're welcome to borrow mine, then I think you might find results, I hope. But you got to work at it. Like anything, fortitude, temperance. Okay, now the next principle is the horror show, which builds upon that, it builds upon the principle of life will not go well. The horror show suggests that not only does life ambush us, it will one day destroy us. Something is going to come that will basically be of a horror show level of intensity. Stage 4 cancer, for example. Alzheimer's disease. I could go on, the list goes on, right? All kinds of things happen like this. Whatever happened to Robin Williams was an example of a horror show. You can just imagine what it must have been like for him. I was thinking about him this morning for some reason. Oh, because he showed up on my feed. A picture of him showed up in my feed, social media feed. Anyway, the horror show is real. It's happening, if not to you and me right now. It's happening around us, the people that we know, people that we don't know, and it's coming for each of us. whether it will toy with us quickly or deal with it or draw it out will remain to be seen. Sounds like it has some agency the way I described it there. I don't think it does. Again, it's more happenstance, more what happens. Okay, and then the last one in those three, again, life will not go well, the horror show, and then that which must be born with an E, carried. What we have to bear is those two before. We have to bear the horror show, and we have to bear the things that happen along the way. Especially once we're on the plan, once we sign up for the life plan, especially when we decide we're going to have babies. And then we have to see that through to the end. Fortunately, the end is near for me, I think. Thank goodness, because I don't know how much longer I can keep this up, how much fortitude I have left. Okay. After that comes, which must be born, then comes, I think the next one is distraction. We distract ourselves from the emptiness of the universe, which is the next principle called the Great Indifference. Technically, that principle is called agency in the Great Indifference. Agency being the fact of you and me, thinking creatures, other non-human creatures as well that have this capacity. That basically all life, for that matter, is all agents, and contrasting that with the emptiness of the universe, the deep void within and between the stars and all the empty planets and everything else, whatever else there is out there. We distract ourselves so we don't have to deal with that. And I do it by being a drama queen, which I'm going to stop doing. I'm going to join the Republic of Letters instead. Transform myself. Okay, there was that. Distraction, agency, and the Great Indifference. Next is the best seat in the house. To be all right with who I am, where I am, and what I'm doing now. The Path of Wildness. Oh, here's another place where I change stuff around. The Path of Wildness, which is a way to off-ramp from a current life onto a new life. And in the process, it gives us an adventure along the way and helps to develop our character and create our life story. The next principle that I moved recently here is the Great Life Adventure. The Great Life Adventure is the consequence of going onto the Path of Wildness. When we choose not to enter the path, we remain settled in our current circumstances, which, you kind of empty that out like a worn-out sponge after a while. And you can continue to wash with a beat-up sponge, but it's not as interesting as going out and getting a new sponge in a new land with new people and new circumstances and new risks, and then telling the story of the life of trying to get that sponge, that great life adventure. Which, if you give yourself a great life adventure, it's something special. Something that nobody can take away, just death. And even then, I can't take it away if you've written it down. It'll last for a little while, maybe. Okay, after the Great Life Adventure, I like the placement of those two. Good change. After the Great Life Adventure comes the season. Is that right? No, I almost got misled by my old path. After the Great Life Adventure, then comes the risk of avoiding risk. There's the surface level risks of life, of education, career, home, family, and security, and then the deep risk of spending some time to find ourselves. It's hard to do both. Some people pull it off. I've had only so. I've focused most of my time on the deep risk. That's why I'm broke. That's why I have to work hard to pay for my daughter's college, because I wasn't smart about the surface level risks. Some people pull off both, but most don't. Most go one or the other, like me, it seems. And then after that comes sin and damnation, another principle. There are 7 sins in my worldview. These are falsity, being untrue; credulity, believing things too readily; faith, believing things where you use the fact that you want to believe as the foundation for the belief, which is a bad idea. That's no foundation at all. That's a resting certitude on wish, on desire. Superstition, believing, categorically nonsense things. Dogma, believing things because it's a tradition. And then authority, believing things because someone we're impressed by says it's true. Or an institution claims, holds it's true, although that's closer to dogma. And then the consequence of these 7 is and then the last one, gossiping, talking about others behind their back in such a way that if you knew they overheard what you were saying, you'd be embarrassed. You wouldn't want that. So don't do that. So the consequence of these 7 is damnation in the here and now. Sin and damnation is the principle. Next comes complete oblivion. When we're dead, that's the end. There'll be no continuation of life, no afterlife to follow. As a result, we'll have no reunion with the ones we loved during life. We'll have no reconciliation, no chance of reconciliation, and we'll see no final justice because there's no God. There's no justice giver. There's just an emptiness, just a dissolution into nothing. The same way we'll be back to what we were before we were born, before we were conceived, in fact. Sin and damnation. Complete oblivion. Next is, I usually would have the Great Life Adventure here, but not. Next is the season of philosophy, which is a time to record what we've learned along the way. And now I'm in the home stretch of principles. The last bit are bullseye aim. We strive for the mark we usually miss. The uphill climb. Continue steadily trudging up. Life should be a struggle all the way to the end. The same kind of struggle of climbing a mountain. Fatiguing, exhausting, but worth the effort. Arena and utility is next. Life is an arena where we develop good principles that we can use to help us towards the achievement of whatever objectives we set for ourselves in life. And then after that, after arena and utility, comes nothing is enough. A suggestion that peace is not to be found in things. It's in fact found in the absence of things, the absence of desire. Very Buddhist, that idea. And then finally comes the last principle, which is the principle of fun. A reminder to enjoy the day, enjoy the moment of now, anticipating the days to come, and happy reminiscence of the past. I'll say also to not be a drama queen, but to be enjoying my membership in the Republic of Letters, self-appointed membership at that. Okay, that's my Good Life Creed. 7 objectives and 31 principles. Went into detail today. Now let's plan for the day. I've got a tough day ahead of me, but it's a day of work. Work, that's what I do. I work. I'm going to take on these meetings. I'm going to keep my objectives clearly in mind. I'm going to toss that pickaxe, hold that plow steady while the ox drives that furrow forward with me guiding it. Hard work. That's what it is. I'm going to get another day under my belt, another day of my daughter's school paid for. And I'm not going to focus on the drama. I'm going to focus on words, books, ideas. I'm done with being a drama queen. I'm all now for being a citizen of the Republic of Letters. I like that. I wish you best. I wish you all the best. Be safe, but not too safe.